In today's video, we're going to take a look at the structure of the eye and see how it responds to changes in light intensity with the iris reflex. If you look at this image here, this is actually a cross-section of the eye, which means that it's as if we had an entire eyeball looking to the left, but then we sliced it in half and removed the half closest to us so that we could see inside it. As light hits the eye, the first structure that it meets is the cornea. And to allow all the light to pass through, the cornea is completely transparent, and so has no blood vessels. This means that all the oxygen it needs has to diffuse into it from the outside air, rather than being supplied by the blood like everywhere else in the body. The reason we need the cornea is because it causes all the light that passes through it to refract, or bend by a certain amount. The next important structure is the iris, which is the coloured bit of your eye and controls how big or small the pupil is. The pupil itself is just here, and it's not actually a structure. It's just this gap in the middle of the iris that allows the light to pass through to the lens. Just like the cornea, the job of the lens is to refract or bend light. But importantly, the lens can change its shape, which allows it to control how strongly it refracts the light. And this helps it to always focus the light perfectly onto the retina at the back of the eye. The retina itself is made up of two different types of receptor cells. Cone cells are sensitive to the colour of light, and so allow us to see in colour. However, they don't work very well in low light conditions, so we also have rod cells, which are more sensitive to light, but only allow us to see in black and white. And this is actually why you can't see colours when it's dark, because it's only your rod cells that are working. The next structure to know is the fovea, which is a special spot on the retina which is full of only cone cells. And it's this region that we try to focus light on so that we can see things most clearly. And lastly, we have the optic nerve, which takes all of the impulses generated by the receptor cells and transmits them to the brain. The next thing we need to consider is the iris reflex. And to understand it, let's take a look at the eye from the front. In very bright light conditions, like when you're outside in the sun, or you look towards a light bulb, the intensity of the light can actually cause damage to your retina. So to prevent this, you have a reflex that controls the size of your pupil, making it smaller in bright light conditions, so that less light gets in and damages your retina, but larger when in low light conditions, which allows more light in and so helps you to see in the dark. Both of these cases have their own names. So in this image on the left, when the pupils are small, we call it constricted. But when it's larger, like on the right, we say it's dilated. To control this process, the iris is made up of two different types of muscles. On the inside are these circular muscles that stretch around the pupil like circles. And then around the outside are the radial muscles. And you can remember that they're called radial muscles because they stretch from the inside to the outside, like the radius of a circle. In order to make the pupil smaller in bright light, the circular muscles contract, squeezing the pupil smaller, and the radial muscles have to be relaxed, so that they can be stretched longer. If it's dark though, and the pupil needs to let in more light, the circular muscles relax, and the radial muscles now contract, making them shorter and pulling the pupil open.